you can clearly see down that 2022 column for median prices. That trajectory has been downwards for quite some time now. Sales activity is definitely down huge. We know that 773 transactions July of 2021. So I mean, since the shift has happened, you're seeing those giant numbers with a minus that precedes them.
Yeah.
So that's going to be ongoing until there's another shakeout. Dollar volume, again, we know that's going to be the case. I'm just a huge fan of these. I think it's been a long time coming in the city. We've heard for years, right? The municipality looking to make things easier, and then they kind of didn't. And then I think there's been enough pushback that now it's the floodgates are about to open. The investors in Toronto have seen this for years and years. This is, we've heard about this concept coming to Hamilton, and it's long overdue. But just like with anything in Hamilton, it's going to catch fire real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Great strategy. All right, guys, welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Channel. I am your guest host once again. My name's Emma Pace, and I run a real estate team in Toronto. I've got your absolute Hamilton specialist with me today, Abdellah. Welcome to the show. I'm looking forward to hearing all things Hamilton because it's not my specialty. So I'm excited to hear from a specialist in that market.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Emma. Nice to reconnect here after a few years.
Totally.
And as always, man, super stoked to bring some opportunities here, dabble into some stats, and show everybody kind of how the market's swinging and with some other factors. But always pumped to deliver what I can here.
Cool. And just kind of before we pull up your presentation, for those for any viewers that maybe haven't seen your presentations before, why don't you just give us a little bit of a synopsis of who you are, what you do, what you specialize in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can do a little debriefing. So, I mean, presentation-wise, we're going to jump into some stats for a couple slides. I'll be honest, I don't harp too much on it because, I like to think outside the box type of guy. And then we'll jump into some case studies, a couple of recent purchases that some of our investor clients have done, and talk about as well some stuff we have coming up, some true off markets. That hopefully some investors out there can benefit from, and as well we're going to dabble into some cool stuff that's coming up in Hamilton in terms of zoning changes and allowing higher density. So I'm excited to share all that. We're really intent on how the city kind of develops or doesn't develop. So they're making some huge strides here in Hamilton in terms of the conversion process and making that a lot easier. So, but yeah, just a quick recap. The Majd Realtor Group, right at Hamilton, we're a team of 7, super investment focused. Not that we don't deal with everything else. We run Revel Hamilton Central as well. So we operate a brokerage here downtown Hamilton, and always looking for some great talent, but we'll touch base on that as well during the presentation.
All right, awesome. Let's pull up the slides and get into it.
Let's do it. Perfect. So just, we did a little billboard campaign with this earlier, but that's our squad there. Primarily younger, couple agents or 2 or 3 agents that are within their first couple of years in the business, but we're firing at all cylinders. So it's been a great ride so far.
Are all of your guys primarily like investor focused, or do you have a good mix for?
I'd say we have a good base of end users and investments. We do have a couple agents on our team that were investors before they were agents or come from that lineage. But everybody's got the same mindset, right? We're just true believers in, not to say if you need to be an investment focused realtor to sustain longevity is just, where our mindsets are for the end goal here. So,
Okay, cool.
but yeah, most of us, and if you weren't investment focused before, you are now.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
let's put it that way. So awesome, Emma. So yeah, we'll jump into some stats, guy. We've been doing this, I think, since my first contribution to this channel last year. So you can clearly see down that 2022 column for median prices. That trajectory has been downwards for quite some time now. I think everybody and their uncle knows the reason behind that. To me, there's still competition out there, right? There's the end results of different price points, obviously, because people's purchasing power, and we'll see what the BOC announces in September, and
For sure.
kind of adjust from there. But we always like to ask the viewers, or leave it in the comments, what you think the median price in August is going to be here in Hamilton. But safe to say, it's an unfortunate downward trajectory. Depends how you look at it. But what goes up must come down. But the calibration is coming soon, in my opinion, as well. So
Yeah, so it looks like you guys are down about 25% from the peak. So you guys also peaked in February. And then if
yeah,
you look back from kind of a
year over
price
year,
equilibrium, we're looking
yeah,
at basically the same price as last February. So if you bought a property before Feb 2021, you're probably still in the green. If you bought
I would,
after Feb 2021, don't panic. Just hold on to the thing. You'll be fine over time.
exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. I did an IG live yesterday where we were talking about this, and if you absolutely need to sell, it's I would say that's just the way of life sometimes. But if you don't, I would like Emma said, I would hold on there and fight through the cycle. Right, there's always going to be an upswing, especially with what Hamilton's really going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years,
Cool.
with a number of different factors. So we always talk about the kind of year over year table. So to kind of go through this, efficiently, sales activity is definitely down huge. We know that 773 transactions, July of 2021. So I mean, since the shift has happened, you're seeing those giant numbers with a minus that precedes them.
Yeah.
So that's going to be ongoing until there's another shakeout. Dollar volume, again, we know that's going to be the case. New listings is kind of inverted there, where we're seeing a huge influx. We had a huge inventory problem for a long time. That's definitely not the case anymore. Active listings, right, with days on market, and the nature of the market right now, especially during the summer. I think that this was evident last year, coming out of a scorching spring.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people kind of forget that. And we talk about it at the office all the time when we're scripting and trying to stay on top of the trend, that there was a huge kind of I wouldn't say huge, but a bit of a bottom out coming into the summer last year. I think that's just kind of natural, and what COVID did to the world, and people losing their minds with restrictions. But yeah, active listings are just we saw a huge slowdown after, I think, the second rate hike, and we check these stats every day, just kind of like a 24-hour roll in the Hamilton on our board, which actually encompasses a few different regions. But there was barely anything hitting the market for a while there, right? Because people were getting the hint, and just like with the kind of organic approach of real estate, people need to sell.
Yeah.
Life events happen, right? That's never going to change, as cliche as that sounds. And now for the last few weeks or so, every 24 hours, we're seeing hundreds of listings hit the market.
How many of those do you know how many of those are relisted? Like, I'm assuming a bunch of those are probably people
Yeah,
that canceled and relisted.
yeah, a bunch of cancel and realist, but yeah, to be honest, I mean, don't have that
That's
particular.
that. Yeah, they can be really hard to track. It's just
It is, yeah.
what we've seen on our end is just like historically, like you said, August is very slow, or July
Yeah.
and August are historically very slow. So if you're really if you're watching this and you're finding that in your market, We're recording close to the end of August here. It's probably second week of September, you're going to start seeing a little bit more activity and stuff hitting the market because people like to wait until Labor Day. Their kids are back in school and they don't have them home and all that kind of stuff. So it just makes it for an easier move for them and easier for showings.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then we'll see what happens. I know there's all conflicting reports out there. I'm not going to try to be, Mr. Crystal Ball here.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. But we'll see what that rate hike does. But there's going to be a natural, kind of countering current there, right?
Yeah.
Just like you said, it's nobody gives, a rat's ass about real estate, I think, during July, August. But I mean, investors got to be out there. That's what we've been preaching.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens in September. So, but yeah, average price point here to finish off the table. We're not too far off there, right? We're actually up in 2022, despite the doom and gloom out there. Median price up slightly as well. And this is where you kind of get into the, okay, this makes sense type thing. Months of inventory, we're up huge, right?
Yeah.
I know that's kind of presented a little differently, but seeing Hamilton stats, I think we have about what it says there, right? As I saw it, even more recent than after we put these slides together. But you have about 3 months worth of inventory right now, which is crazy, but I think was very natural prior to COVID there. Average days on market, I mean, they've basically doubled there. And what that doesn't tell you, obviously, is how many times it comes on and off the market. So you're still seeing stuff out there. I saw a listing today that's been on for like 157 days, and it's not anything.
Yeah. I would argue that number for most boards is probably significantly lower than it is in actuality because a lot of these listings, just so anybody who's watching knows, it's like if it's the second or third time it's hit the market and it only looks like it's been on the market for 3 days, well, that constantly skews the number to being something lower. So I would argue that the average days on market for most markets is probably significantly higher than what it's showing because half of these guys are just constantly relisting at a refresh 0 days on market.
Exactly. Yeah, it's much higher. And outside, I know it's difficult for the board to track that, but I know it's been maybe a year now where I'm sure you guys have, I don't know if you have the same on Treb. We list all of our stuff on Treb too, but you have like your DOM and then your CDOM. Like your
so we actually don't have CDOM, I don't think, on Treb. It's just a lot easier to track on Matrix. But yeah, it's it's a very nice on the agent side of things to be able to see both there.
Exactly.
We've got to look at kind of listing history to do a little bit more deep diving into the history of it.
And I still don't know how to do this, being in the industry in my 7th year. Where sometimes you go into the property history, like I know for a fact this thing was listed prior, and you somehow can't see it.
Yeah.
So kudos to whoever's doing that.
The sneaky agents.
Yeah, exactly. So, essentially, those. I mean, would I say it's boring? No, but I mean, it's just kind of the same old until we really shift into, I think, next year here and let the dust settle a little bit more. But I mean, I would say a lot of people wouldn't have thought the average price was where it was there in terms of year over year. But again, despite all the doom and gloom, there's a ton of opportunity out there. So basically, this is the first slide of just some upcoming stuff. This one's actually upcoming to market. We'll talk about a couple true off markets and a couple of case studies just to go through some numbers that we've achieved. But we have this one coming up on the West Mountain. Again, just going down the route of more of the house hack. It is more of a family neighborhood.
Yeah. For a newbie to Hamilton, is the West Mountain, like, what kind of neighborhood would you consider that?
Prime time. Okay. Yeah, this is schools and green space, and obviously, Hamilton, as you transition west, everything gets more expensive because of the area and obviously land value transitioning, into Ancaster. A lot easier to access the highway, heading to Toronto and all that good stuff. So this one, we don't have any interior pictures, but pardon me, my this is a repeat investor of ours who we've done multiple projects with. So some just to kind of touch base on these rents too. Like we're talking about 1,000 square feet, 3-bed, 1-bath, and that number is not inflated by a cent.
Mm-hmm.
Is just, I mean, in some aspects, sad. That's what rent has gone. I think that's the third component of all this, and not a lot of people talk about is, yeah, rates are up, prices are down, but there's the other kind of pressure.
Yeah, so you're looking at like 4,600 in total gross rents, plus they're paying their own utilities,
Yeah,
asking 900K. So you're looking at like 0.5% rule ish, which seems to be, the 1% rule was kicking around there for a long, long
for
time.
a
But
long
now,
time.
if you're just looking at that percentage basis, this 0.5% rule, just for anybody that's watching, seems to be kind of like the new standard for most markets, kind of across the board. If you're looking in like Southwestern Ontario.
Yeah, I think that 1% rule is maybe has fluttered out the window just
Yeah,
because.
well, especially I guess if you're going in like less savory or more unsavory neighborhoods, you're probably
Exactly.
going to squeeze above that 0.5. But if you're looking at something like a AAA location, which you're looking at here, then you got to expect that those numbers might be a little bit tighter. But still, at the end of the day, they work.
Yeah, they really do, despite what the general public may think. But
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. A great point there too, Emma. It's you got to pay for a location, right? But the nice thing in Hamilton is the rents are kind of steadily climbing, so there's that cash flow entity of it all is still present, right?
yep,
And all for first time, to me, I kind of think is first time buyers and first time investors are intertwined, right? Like you can go into a property, and I have these discussions with people all the time, right? Look at it as a future investment. I can't tell you how many people in the last like year or two that I've helped get into properties that I'm like, okay, we're getting into a duplex, let's house hack,
yep,
and then let's keep it, and kind of explain to them how that rental income comes into play on the lending side. So
for sure.
it's been a really great strategy the last couple of years, especially that we're seeing a lot of these younger folk that are just
Oh man,
seeing
it's like the best
what's going
way if you're a millennial and you're watching this and you're figuring out
unreal.
how I can do it. I started that way. It's just like it's the simplest solution to be able to get you there. I know it's maybe like not the sexiest thing to have somebody living with you, but if it's what it's going to take to get you in the market, it's kind of like the lesser of two evils. Just make sure that you have somebody choose your tenants wisely, but
Always.
that goes back with the location. Like if you end up getting into like a sick location, you're going to have inherently better quality tenants and likely a pretty decent buyer tenant pool there as well. So unreal strategy to get into the market for sure.
Yeah, no, it's been great. There's just again with the rental rates in Hamilton, it's the offset is kind of eye opening, and it's you can't go away from the strategy. So,
Yep.
but yeah, great house hack and entry level investment, I would say there. This one is off market here as well. So, single family at the moment, zoned for legal duplex, could do the in-law suite as well. It's already set up with 3 kitchens. So it's a 5-bed, 5-bath. Essentially, it's a triplex, by way of terminology. But again, this is on the mountain as well, but far east.
Okay.
We used to own our first property ever back in 2013 was just a few doors down from this one. So yeah, a great opportunity. Again, I'm seeing a lot more house hacks / live and rent in triplexes this day and age. We have a couple investors right now only looking for something they can get into with 2 additional units of offset. But again, this is almost 2,400 square feet just above grade. So it's
Wow.
3,000 square feet. You got the garage. It's zoned. We'll talk about the zoning stuff a little later, just to kind of tie it all in. But another great opportunity here. And you're going to say, okay, why $899 for a tri and $899 for a duplex? But I think it's just primarily the location
Location based, yeah.
are definitely different there. But I mean, look, from a number standpoint, obviously is the better play, but it really depends on on where
Yeah,
you
it
want
comes
to
down
be.
to who the purchaser is, and like at the end of the day, we can all say, "Hey, numbers on paper are the most important thing as an investor." If you're not living there, great, but if you're watching this video and you want somewhere to live and you want to be in a AAA location, then scenario one might be the better scenario for you. If you're somebody who just cares about numbers on paper, then this is obviously going to be the winner for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's still a family-friendly neighborhood. I live just 7 streets over, so great
Okay.
neighborhood. Just east versus west
Yeah.
kind of whole thing, but nonetheless, great vehicle there. So
Cool.
uh, yeah. So moving on to this one. This one is truly off market, down in, we'll say, kind of bordering a B and C neighborhood. Um, One thing I always like to mention is Hamilton. There's just really no there's really no neighborhoods that, people ask me all the time, what do you avoid? I don't avoid anywhere anymore. The where Hamilton's transitioned, it's you can take a drive around 5 years ago versus now, it's you won't even recognize it, right? These neighborhoods have had such a huge influx of a different class, if you will. And it's just, there's opportunity everywhere, right? There's actually light industrial near this opportunity, but a huge commercial development coming up right around the corner as well. So take the good, the bad, more good for sure.
Yeah.
Asking 600 grand. We are just pulling the zoning on this as well to see if it comes back as a, or has some sort of legal status. So currently this one is tenanted. The main floor tenant is moving out, so we can reset that rent. They're good sized units, both 1 beds. Again, entry level, second or third property. The caveat with this one is right in behind. So right off to the right, that's a laneway that basically goes from street to street. There's a nice big detached garage right in behind it, double wide, which you can certainly turn into an ADU there, an accessory dwelling unit, to just for those who don't know what that stands for. Again, zoned for the duplex and the ADU actually here as well. So huge opportunity with a pretty reasonable entry point.
Yeah, super nice. That's great.
Yeah, just a couple recent deals to go through. I want to really get into the zoning stuff
Cool.
at the end of it, but just quick case study of a client of ours who just finished almost a perfect BRRRR. We did a leasing for him here as well, so you can see the numbers there. Definitely not 26,000, 260,000. So this one's on a strip in Hamilton, right at the bottom of the Sherman access. So great access point to the top of the hill. So you can see it there. So big rents too, $5,200. Our client did a really great job here. Obviously, a permitted conversion here. So potential for a third unit in the basement. Probably can go without maybe digging down a little bit. But if you'd run the numbers there, 80% loan to value, and where his rents are, he definitely knocked this one out of the park.
Yeah, so he's all into that property for what is it, 870,
870.
and
Yep.
then he's looking at what is that, 5,100 or 5,200 for gross rents.
Yeah, plus utilities there.
Plus, they're paying their own utilities, so not a bad deal. Not a bad
Yeah.
deal at all.
Yeah, nice little blend of extraction and cash flow.
Yeah.
And I know one of the tenants ended up paying, I believe the 2-bed tenant ended up paying the entire month or the entire year up front.
Wow. I actually think you presented a couple really good options, like a good mixed bag here. You have essentially you've got one very turnkey property, buy it, get the keys, move right in.
Yeah.
The second one, you can make the numbers work right away. You have some opportunities if you decide to. You've got a less expensive option, maybe not the sexiest neighborhood, but you have opportunities to place your own tenants. And then this one, you don't necessarily need to be the most advanced investor, but it is a more advanced strategy than some of the other ones that we've looked at. So I think you've covered like most of the bases for investor pools here, which is nice.
Yeah. That's kind of always what we aim for. Just, it's just the pool of buyers we deal with now, right? They're all different types of strategies and experience levels. So we're just fortunate that we can kind of get our hands on a few different approaches here. So
Nice.
yeah, the last one here, Emma. So it's the client of ours is just closing on this one end of September. So we're just submitting, just going through the drawing, creating drawings, going through the working our way through this through the submission process. So this one's actually already this is on the West Mountain. It's in a pocket right near Mohawk College, where you still have the right zoning. Kind of nice thing is just I'm not a not to put it down, but I'm not a big fan of student rentals. But where I'm going with this is it's in a pocket where through COVID, where people weren't going to campus, right? A lot of these student rental owners were just unloading these. I can't tell you how many of these duplexes were unloaded, in like a 4-street radius over the last couple of years. So, and there's just kind of still some great opportunity there that's untapped for some odd reason. Again, on the West Mountain, not as west as 39 Gillard. Yeah, this one, like I said, it's already set up as a duplex in that main house. You see off to the right, that garage.
Yeah.
That thing's about 650 square feet with 9-foot ceilings.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's, we went into it with that intention of just kind of doing some minor renos in the duplex and then kind of directing most of the capital into the ADU.
That was an existing structure. You guys built that from the ground up.
The garage already existed.
It existed. Okay.
Yeah, the previous sellers, they built that in like 2018.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So major work here is gonna be out trenching the services from the main house, the ADU, and then beyond that, it's kind of pretty straightforward. He's turning into a 2-bed, 1-bath unit, which what Hamilton will allow you for to the max. But this is just I know the laneway house has been a thing in Toronto for God knows how long, and this is just something that is going to be rabid in Hamilton. I think every investor we help, we really try to direct him towards something where we're adding a third or a fourth unit, and I'll get into that in the next slide. But that's our proposed ARV at the moment. We have our rents there. Utilities will be split. The AD will be all in its own services, which is going to be real nice. And now you're on a 50 by 110 lot with a triplex in a higher end area, and
great parking situation too. It looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, double wide there, and especially where Hamilton's they've just dropped their parking bylaws as well, where you only need one for a legal duplex. Okay, so now it's intensified, right? Instead of two for two unit or 2 spots per 2 units, they've regressed that, and then there's some leeway on the ADU stuff as well.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about that.
Let's do it. So accessory dwelling units. I think there's a million different terms for these. There's laneway house, obviously, with the laneway here in Hamilton too. Not super consistent on the mountain, more of a downtown feel. But this is, to me, this is the calm before the storm. This is going to be a very replicated strategy. I just kind of took a snippet of the current bylaws and what that indicates. It's not super detailed, and didn't want to go that crazy with it, but just something I can always chat with if somebody was interested. So essentially, like, your main points are your setbacks. 1.2 meters are off the back, 2.5 feet off the side yard. 18-foot maximum on the height, and then you can go up to 800 square feet as well, 2-bed, as we're doing on that proposed one on the previous slide. So where I wanted to go with this is, not too common of news, but Hamilton essentially just announced recently, and I just went through the bylaws earlier this week, that they're about 75 to 85,000 parcels in Hamilton in the quote unquote yellow belt, which isn't like a common term, but essentially pockets of Hamilton where you see these kind of low-rise apartments. So you have that purpose-built density, but it's surrounded by a lot of low-density zoning. You're seeing your Ds here in Hamilton. So they've essentially amended all these zoning codes and will allow up to 4 legal units.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, with obviously some bylaw kind of bylaw restrictions there, but I mean that's, to me, that's kind of the domino we've been waiting for in the city.
Yeah.
We've seen it coming for a little while, and our construction company does a lot of these conversions, so we will always keep up on bylaw and OBC changes and whatnot. So I can't stress this enough. This will, depending if you're building it from the ground up or converting that garage, obviously is going to be much cheaper.
Yeah.
And as well, there is a predate of May 2021 where if the garage was built just like that one on West 3rd, you essentially don't have to comply by the setback requirements.
Right. It'll just be grandfathered in.
Exactly.
Depending on the age.
Just a non-conforming thing. But I'm just a huge fan of these. I think it's been a long time coming in the city. We've heard for years, right, the municipality looking to make things easier, and then they kind of didn't. And then I think there's been enough pushback that now it's the floodgates are about to open.
Are you finding with these because they're separated? Like, I'm just trying to think of the one. There was that one for $600K that you mentioned. It was 2 1-bedrooms and then the ADU in the back or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So, are you finding with these, because they're a detached structure, do you get like additional rents for them because somebody has their own space, or are you just getting like traditional market rents? I'm curious to see how that'll pan out in the future.
To be, this is just pure projection right now. I do know of 2 or 3 that are at the tail end of construction.
Yeah.
We just quoted one. Our company just quoted one a couple of weeks ago, and a couple more coming up.
Yeah.
So I mean, just the way Hamilton's going, I'm going to project that they're going to command market rent.
I figured they would get a premium. Like, I'm just thinking, hey, if I had to rent and there was a duplex, or this was my option, like there was a 2-bedroom in the house and I had to share it, or there was a 2-bedroom in the back and it was detached, like I'd probably just take the detached thing and I'd be willing to pay a bit extra. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see, again, this is like a relatively new concept, right? So I'm curious to see how this will pan out from a rents perspective when we look back in like 5 years.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't like to put my foot in my mouth.
yeah, of course.
I would, hopefully I would, I definitely agree that, if you're not sharing space, you're paying a premium.
Yeah.
It's just going to be the kind of counter of, okay, well, I'm living, in the backyard, and
yeah,
people already sharing the backyard and stuff like that. So
yeah,
some other aspects there, I just, kind of being cautious, but you definitely make a lot of sense, right? If I have to choose between one of the 3 units,
yeah,
I'm probably going to choose the sucker at the back, right? Especially if it's got like a nice deep lot of 150 feet plus.
yeah, of course.
Then I think we're talking some premium for sure. So
yeah, it's cool. It's a cool idea.
No, I love it. I love it. So yeah, that's basically it on the kind of informative side of things. Again, guys, I think this is, I know, like, the investors in Toronto have seen this for years and years. This is, we've heard about this, again, this concept coming to Hamilton, and it's long overdue, but just like with anything in Hamilton, it's going to catch fire real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Great strategy.
And just a couple, plugs, we'll call them, for the last couple slides. So, our brokerage here, Rebel Hamilton Central, we're doing things a little differently with kind of our business model and our boutique approach, and, the level of support that we offer agents. So, we are growing at a good pace, definitely looking for some quality agents. If they're investor focused, that's a bonus. It's not a necessity, but we're always looking to add to our growing brokerage. I think we're at 19 agents now in total, including our team. And then I know you and I talked about this kind of before we started shooting, but looking to add a salesperson to our direct sales team on the Majd Realty Group. Kind of looking for a little bit of the specs might be a little hard, a year or 2 in the business, and just looking to take that next stride and elevate the transaction level. So
Yeah, I mean, look, as someone who started my career on a team and now runs a team,
There you go.
I
Likewise, likewise.
I'm a big champion for teams, and I think, especially now, given the state of the market, if you're newer in your career, especially if you're like 1 to 2 years in your career, you probably haven't seen like a traditional normal market. Your expectations of what is considered normal is actually quite skewed because we've had a couple of crazy years. So to be able to have some, guidance of somebody that's kind of been through this cycle a couple of times, it's definitely a huge benefit. So yeah, if anybody's looking to join a team in Hamilton, like definitely consider talking to Abdullah about it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Emma. So yeah, I think we had some sort of the same kind of path in our careers. Yeah, I was on my own for a couple of years, did it part time, and then I'm thinking of this doesn't even feel right. So
Yeah.
2 feet in, was on a investment focused sales team for 3 years. Great time over there, and everything happens for a reason, and here we are now. So
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that was super informative. If anybody wants to reach you, Abdullah, where can they get a hold of you?
Instagram and the Madge Realty Group. Same on Facebook and Rebel Hamilton Central. I'm crazy and I always throw out my phone number because I really don't care. 905-921-6253. That iPhone 12 is glued to my hip. So
There you go.
yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. If you are looking for a property in Hamilton, whether you're an investor or end user, you've got 7 people that can help out. Or if you're an agent that's watching this because you want to know the stats on Hamilton and you're here to listen to this part, you should definitely consider having a chat with Abdullah. And as always, guys, if you found any value in this video, give it a like, give the channel a subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one.